The ability of tenants to connect with each other and understand the problem and their rights and responsibilities is critical, and that's why tenant organizing is an absolutely critical first step.
We were lucky enough to have some capacity to get out there and door knock and go from door to door. Some of the residents then started volunteering to do some of that work themselves. And the meetings that were held at this church, I mean, there were hundreds of residents that were there. And I think there was this realization that we're all facing the same issue and there is something we can do about it.
As people realize they're in a common situation, suffering a similar plight, and they can come together and organize, it's a really powerful way to address some of the larger issues.
Some of the tenants sort of set up building leaders, and then some of the residents also at one point decided to come to the city council and speak about the experiences they were facing.
The residents started getting organized, they were referred to us, and the upshot was the residents filed a class action in federal court under the Fair Housing Act challenging the defendants' actions. This was a case in which the defendants were remaking the tenant population so that it would drastically reduce the number of people protected by the Fair Housing Act, people of color and disabled people, changing to a young, urban, professional, largely white population. And that violates the Fair Housing Act in two ways. One, it's intentional discrimination, but it also violates a section of the Act that prohibits disparate impact. In essence, what that means is that where the defendant's actions would have a disparate impact on a protected class population, they have to use the least discriminatory means available to achieve their business goals, and we contend they failed to do that. We don't know the final outcome, of course, because the lawsuit is still pending, but the court ultimately concluded was the legal and factual issues in the case were too complex to make a quick decision. So that just shows that the challenges that our legal system has in dealing quickly with very complex issues. But the other key thing, on a more positive note, is the court ultimately ruled that this is the kind of situation that can be covered by the Fair Housing Act, and that is a groundbreaking ruling.
And so, we'll see what happens with the lawsuit, but I think it's set an example of this is a serious problem that needs to be dealt with.